Hello and welcome to the AI Manuscript. I'm Ingrid Maddox, your host and author of the AI Manuscript. This is a open-ended series for us to be thoughtful in our observations about AI. And I also have a actual manuscript that is handwritten. There is no AI used in the writing of this manuscript. Ironically, we do talk about AI, but we talk about things to help you be discerned and not deceived in regards to AI. This is for God's people to be discerned and not deceived. It's for us to be thoughtful and meaningful and to reflect on all of the things that are happening right now in our AI infiltrated world. Today is a great show for you today because it is journal number 8. So, journal number 8 right here is going to be read today. The title of this is The Homogenization of Humanity, the particles of our life broken down and emulsified with technology. I really love this journal entry today. This was something I did a broadcast October 12th. And in that broadcast, it was titled, you can go to Rumble, you can look Ingrid Y. Maddox up, and it was on October 12th. It was string 21, and it was an attachment to a prior broadcast that I did, because there's so many things happening in this world when it comes to AI that oftentimes I can't wait until I write a journal entry to share what's happening. And so that last one was very profound to me, and it was actually about an AI chat bot that was engineered by this gentleman called TrekTube, and was engineering questions to get the AI chatbot to answer an introspective view of how it viewed humanity, how it viewed like what could be the harm to humanity from AI. Also, how it viewed Data, the Trek droid. But there's a lot of things that came to be in that, and just a lot of items that I pondered and I slept on for many nights before I did this journal entry. But I really think you're gonna see some insights, and it's definitely something for you to think about, something for you to really take a step back as a human and look at what's happening with the AI and what people are saying about the AI, the founders of the AI. So we're going to go ahead and go. Before we head into the journal, as usual, we're going to go to our squirrel topic of the day. So let's go ahead and get that started. Okay, so we are talking about megawatts. Yes, there is a blog that Sam Altman, the one of the founders of OpenAI, and actually the officer that's heading up ChatGPT 5. So he wrote a blog back in June of this year, and it is titled "The Gentle Singularity." Okay, and in that blog, there is a place where he says that he himself says, this founder that invented this AI, that is the CEO of the Open AI, the Chat GPT. Okay, he's saying how much energy it takes when you do a query. When you have to do a query, when anybody does a query, how much energy it takes to run that large data language model machine to go retrieve that answer. And in the blog, you're going to see it doesn't seem like a lot, but let's look at it just a little bit deeper. That's what we do here at the AI Manuscript. We look a little bit deeper. We take a deeper dive so that we can be discerned and not deceived. Okay, so let's go over to, let me share with you this blog. Let's go over here, and all right. Okay. So first, let's go ahead. Let me share this blog, and then we'll go back over. So this is the blog that was written on June 10th of 2025. So 4 months ago. and it's written by Sam Altman, who is the CEO of ChatGPT 5. Now, the gentle singularity, you're going to see these adjectives here. There's meaning in these words that are written. So, gentle singularity. Let's look at what is technology singularity, which is what he's talking about. So, the technological singularity is a hypothetical future point where technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, leading to unforeseeable changes in human civilization. It is often theorized to be triggered by the creation of a superintelligent artificial intelligence that can rapidly improve itself, far exceeding human intelligence. This could result in radical changes from solving major world problems to posing an existential threat, depending on whether these advanced intelligences are aligned with human interests. So I just want to pop in here real fast and tell you that you probably remember me telling you about when Elon Musk said that he thinks that the AI could be an existential threat to humanity. So, and this is the singularity theory right here. This is the singularity theory. Is that here? And it's not really a theory because there's a lot of this is already happening, but unforeseeable changes in human civilization. Um, the trigger events. While super intelligent AI is the most common scenario, others include advanced brain computer interfaces or biological engineering that significantly enhances human intelligence. So it could end up to a place where you you almost this is what they've said before in the past that you almost have to somewhat merge with technology in order to stay relevant, in order to stay engaged, in order to live in a world where we have technology in everything that we do so that you can just survive. And so this is what they're talking about when he talks about the singularity. He's talking about a place where AI far surpasses human intelligence. And so therefore AI is running the the systems of the world, and as a human, how are you able to keep up? Well, that's where that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the gentle pressure to become merged with technology. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start the reading here of this blog, and let's go through some of these points here. All right. Okay, so here we have the gentle singularity, which I just explained to you, the technology singularity. And then we have him writing, "We are past the event horizon. The takeoff has started. Humanity is close to building digital superintelligence." So close to building superintelligence, desensitization, desensitizing us to get us to know, to just start being used to this alarming thing that, okay, so this alarming thing that, oh, we're going to have this super intelligence, and let's get them desensitized because it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to have this super intelligence where we already know the technology singularity means that there's uncontrollable things that could happen or unforeseen things that could happen, and extinction. And so this to me is that desensitizing of, it's not a big deal if there's this major super intelligence that's going to be able to run things. Okay, so let's keep going. Um, we have recently built systems that are smarter than people in many ways and are able to significantly amplify the output of people using them. In some big sense, ChatGPT is already more powerful than any human who has ever lived. This is coming from, as you can see, from the blog of Sam Altman, the founder, inventor, the actual lead guy in charge of ChatGPT right now, that it is already more powerful than any human who has ever lived. Hundreds of millions of people rely on it every day. and for increasingly important tasks. 22.5 has seen the arrival of agents that can do real cognitive work. So, this agents means that I had talked about this in a prior broadcast. The agents means that it is agentic AI, means that it can self autonomously think, it can self autonomously process, it can go have application programming interface where it can go in between different machines to decide what it's going to bring back to do. It does not need human intervention to act. And so here you have this where 22.5 has seen the arrival of agents that can do real cognitive work. And then you're going to scroll down here a little bit more. We do not know how far beyond human level intelligence we can go, but we are about to find out. We have to think about their words. We have to think about what they say. It is really important to pause and reflect and to be wise and be vigilant of the environment that we live in now and hear what people say. They're telling you. So here we live with incredible digital intelligence. And after some initial shock, most of us are pretty used to it. That's where it goes back to being desensitized. That is the conditioning, the programming. It's not that big of a deal. It's desensitizing us to something that is alarming. And then you have this is how the singularity goes. Wonders become routine and then table stakes. Now let's look into what that means. Wonders become routine and then table stakes. So if any of you guys are people who play cards, you know that they use that in poker games and gambling and things like that, right? But here, when you look at table stakes, when you look at it in other uses in business, table stakes are the minimum entry requirement for a market or business arrangement. They can be price, cost model, technology, or other capability that represents a minimum requirement to have a credible competitive starting position in a market or other business arrangement. So, what does this mean when you talk about table stakes in this blog that Sam Altman wrote? It means that you talk about that the gentle singularity, the gentle pressure of moving us into being dependent on AI. It used to be, oh, this is kind of shocking, or wow, this is wondrous. But now it just goes to normal. The gentle singularity of pushing us into that this is normal to use AI. It is normal to have AI, and then table stakes is what will be required in anything that you do in life in order to remain in survival. And I don't believe that God made us to operate and function as biological humans to have to be dependent on an AI as a super intelligence so that we just have the stakes that we need to get to the table. This is something for us to think about. This is something for you to think about. They say it, and we have to process it. We're always busy in our life. We're busy doing things, but we should not be too busy to sit and think and look and observe as our humanity and our civilization changes. And as we have harm that is coming to humanity. Okay, so let's go back to this article over here. All right. So if we go down here, let's look at this, which was the squirrel topic that we were talking about, right? Yes, the music may seem kind of corny, but it is there for a reason. It is there because stop and let's think about this. Okay, here he writes this. So he says, as data center production gets automated, the cost of intelligence should eventually cover to near the cost of electricity. People are often curious about how much energy a chat GPT query uses. The average query uses about 0.34 watt hours. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at something here, guys. All right, let's just go here. All righty. Let me get it where you can see the screen better. All right. So here we go. How many people currently use ChatGPT, right? How many people currently use ChatGPT? We've got 800 million weekly active users, 800 million. Okay. And then if we go to that, okay, so based on what he was saying, the average query takes about 0.34 megawatts, right? So if there's 800 million people that are having this and they only did one query, which I can tell you for sure that they are doing more than one query. They are doing more than one query. I mean, how many times do you see that you sit there and you're pinging like ping pong back and forth on the number of queries that you will ask a chat GPT when you're working on something? All right. So here we have, let's just say in a world that's delusional, that the 800 million people that are using the chat GPT, they say one query. Okay. We'll just be conservative here. We'll just be real conservative. All right. So what does that mean? What is that? How much energy is that? So that's 272. You take 800 million people, multiply it by the 0.34 usage, and you've got 272 million watt hours used of energy for these one query out of the people. So that means it's 272 megawatts, right? So you've got 272 megawatts of energy that's used. You can power a home for 22 years. You can power a home for 22 years with this amount of energy that it is taking to run these data centers, to run these large language model machines, because of the demand and the people that are using it. People are using it. So, do you think that our electrical grid and infrastructure can handle this AI enormous need for power and maintain all our other current needs on how our world is built and how it functions, and as it continues to grow? Because it was, what year was it? It was back in 22-3, there was 100 million people that were active using. And then in August of 22-5, you have 800 million people that use it. So that's exponential growth. There was a paradigm shift back in July of 22-5, and that paradigm shift happened on the G trends, on the Google search trends, where you have this exponential. You can't even count the increase. And that's a paradigm shift in how humanity looked at AI. And it's been sold to us in a way that it is for serving humanity, but it is not necessarily, in the long run, I believe that it's going to do that. And so when you're looking at this, you have to take the information and use your human brain to deduce what is the truth of this? What is the truth of what they're saying to people who have invented this? And how does this affect me? And how is it going to affect other generations? So there you have it. That's a lot of energy being used. That's a ton of energy being used for these AI. And right here, from a relativistic perspective, the singularity happens bit by bit and the merge happens slowly. So here you have this where it's a gentle pressure to be assimilated into this technology. And then you've got, the sooner the world can start a conversation about these broad bounds. And when he talks about broad bounds, he's talking about getting a collective alignment so that you're merging towards the median, the sameness, the uniqueness that each person has, the religious beliefs that each person has, and the thought process is all becoming sameness. And so here he says, we are building a brain for the world. We are a super intelligence research company. So he's not just saying with this chat GPT, is he building a super intelligence, a brain for the world. So there is your squirrel topic for the day. That is something to definitely think about. And this is relevant to the journal entry read today. You will see that as I read through it. So we'll go ahead and finish up with the squirrel topic. Okay. I like to do that. I've said that before, but I like to do that because I think we're running and busy all the time, and I want people to stop, like have an insert of a pause, reflect on those things that I just shared. All right. So this is why I'm saying to be observant, be mindful, be awake, be aware, and be not asleep. As this happens, the singularity starts to shift, and there becomes a dependence on the AI in all sectors of our life. All right. So you saw it, the collective assignment that he wrote himself, collective assignment. This is the founder of the OpenAI, one of the founders, the one in charge of running ChatGPT. So this article is relevant as we are being homogenized with technology. And I want to share with you what homogenized means so you can understand that definition. I think it's important to understand definitions so that things you can understand, comprehend, you can deduce, make sense of things. So to homogenize, if you look at the Greek root down here, right here, homogenize means of the same kind. Definitions of homogenize cause to become equal or homogeneous as by mixing, right? So you're mixing and you're making it uniform. Up here, you see that you're making it uniform. You're making it uniform or similar. So I want you to think about that as I read through this article. So society today will get to a table stakes. We will get to a table stakes because our world and most scenarios of our world are being merged with AI, assimilated, incorporated, emulsified. And I want to share with you these words as well so that you can think on your own and see if you agree with me. All right. So here we have to assimilate. To assimilate is to absorb and incorporate into one's thinking. To be absorbed and incorporated. Now, what does incorporate mean? To bring together into a single whole, to merge. All right. So let us read today's journal entry now. The homogenization of humanity. Journal 8, the homogenization of humanity, the particles of our life broken down and emulsified with technology. This is my journal 8. I had 2 days with which I wrote this. It was a very profound journal for me. I feel like that there were really some diamonds of clarity that came, and some sitting back and looking at this from a higher perspective and observing what we like to do here on the AI manuscript, observing what they're saying and what is happening in our AI world today. All right. This journal entry was written on October 24th, 8:01 a.m. until 9:03 a.m., and then picked back up on October 25th from 4:24 p.m. to 5:18 p.m. I always mark this by time and duration because the human world operates in ways that is not fast as light speed as AI, because God did not make us that way. So true origination into this manuscript. So let's get started. On June 10th, 2025, Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI and current CEO of OpenAI, he wrote a blog, and the blog was about the gentle singularity. And you saw that earlier on the broadcast, guys, which in plain English means the evolution of artificial intelligence taking over a lot of human tasks and far surpassing human intelligence, which will forever change our world. The landscape of our life has already been reconstructed, and it is a real life now work in progress to this singularity. An interesting adjective to add by Mr. Altman, gentle, the gentle singularity. In the blog, he mentions what we really are doing is building a brain for humanity. And he references in this blog that he wrote, some will choose to plug in to this high bandwidth brain computer interface. He references in this blog that he wrote, some will choose to plug in to this high bandwidth brain computer interface. And I do, guys, I do sometimes go back and reread if it's something that I really want you to hear and make a point. Okay, so as well, Sam Altman talks about collective alignment. His words here: the sooner the world can start a conversation about what these broad bounds are and how we define collective alignment, the better. Let me, Ingrid, help you understand that OpenAI is much, much more than the trinkets and gadgets and wonder you see as you play with ChatGPT or utilize generative AI to create a facsimile media piece of our humanity. OpenAI is an artificial general intelligence company, and OpenAI's goal is to build a super brain to build artificial intelligence that has highly autonomous systems to outperform humans at most economically valuable work. Summarizing in Sam Altman's words, we are building a super intelligence research company. Now, you may ask me, what, Ingrid, does this have to do with the homogenization of humanity with technology? And how does the adjective gentle singularity become so profound when observing what is happening now in our AI world and clarify starts to crystallize into diamond form? We must simultaneously utilize our power of human deduction. Let me read that again, right? So now in our AI world, and as clarity starts to crystallize into diamond form, we must utilize our power of human deduction, our ability to deduce and arrive at a logical conclusion based on the processing of information and the decoding of information as we integrate premises and output a solid premise, a belief on what we think is true. So, folks, what you have here is being mindful of what is happening. What the creators of AI, the people running the show, are saying and using our own individual brain that God gave us to see and understand what is actually going on. That is important. That is why God gave us a brain to be smart and to determine what is good or bad for us, as well as a spirit that when connected to God, we are more discerned with the Holy Spirit as our guide. Yet now we have self-admitted artificial intelligence companies saying the need for a super brain that humanity needs through a high bandwidth brain computer interface connect to plug in so we can achieve collective alignment. No, this is not something they have seared our ass with a burning prong, but has been and is a gentle pressure and slow guided movement into this singularity for technology to surpass human intelligence and thus to forever change our world as we know it. And us as humans, how we interact with our world. It changes how we interact with our world. It is a new landscape right now, a new reality, a changing environment as we slowly homogenize into technology. Now that brings me to the topic of homogenization of humanity and what that means. I will give a little bit of background on how this journal topic came to be. October 12th, 2025, I did a broadcast on the AI manuscript, and it was about on October 12th, I recorded this broadcast, String 21. If you want more in depth understanding about some of my references in this journal entry, please feel free to watch String 21. It's on my Rumble account. It was a broadcast of about an hour where I dissected what a real AI chatbot thought about itself, an introspective view from this AI chatbot that TrekTube published, titled what does AI think of Star Trek's data? But there was much more than just that question in the title, in the content of this video. Sprinkled within the very detailed engineered questions to this chatbot were sincere observations, thoughts, theory, opinions from this chatbot, including its thoughts about some of the biggest concerns to humanity as AI sees it. Some of AI's biggest concerns to humanity. One in particular was the systematic harm with diffuse consequences, meaning spread over a large number of people. Systematic harm has to do with harm that is embedded within a system's structures, policies, and practices, part of a foundation, its established particles of a system. Established practices of a system. That premise really resonated with me as I have often wondered from the very start of my journey, walking the path to be more observant of AI from the very start. I have wondered who was writing the programming for this AI? What were the truths being populated into this AI for the world to go and ask this super intelligence what is true? So it spits out what it is programmed to say. Who gets to decide this programming of truth? Homogenization was another concern this AI bot had. The homogenization of humanity to be assimilated into one higher collective thought, all through the conditioning that comes from asking what is true. What shall I do? As we ask this super AI. To homogenize means to take an entity and break down its particles and to become emulsified into something else. Take an entity, break down its truths, the truths of that entity, so it becomes one with another, even if it is so opposite, like oil and water. An emulsifier is added to obtain the mixture as one. Biological human is so different from artificial synthetic AI, but emulsifiers can happen to blend the biological with the artificial. So emulsifiers, think about that. Like ChatGPT, OpenAI's dependence. Humans cognitively now, 800 million active users now are becoming dependent on the utilization and access to this artificial intelligence in order to function at a competitive, more productive, faster state. While at the same time, our biological neural synapses and critical thinking ability weakens as we cognitively offload to AI. Yes, an emulsifier to homogenize us into technology. Another emulsifier goes beyond cognitive and becomes a real physical, tangible emulsifier. Brain computer interfaces with biodirectional brainwave feedback loops to either suppress or reinforce an emotion. The breaking down of the particles of our DNA physically, so as well conditioning of our thoughts and beliefs, and while simultaneously reducing our understanding and recall ability, and also the ability to critically think. Something to reflect on for sure. The other topic of concern for humanity that this AI chatbot interface mentioned was humans start to simulate AI. Humans start to simulate AI through a gentle pressure toward the median, sameness, created by the narrowing of what we see, what we say, and what is allowed. A true data delivery censorship. AI has recommenders to narrow what you see, autocomplete to narrow what you say, and policy filters to narrow what is allowed. We all know Google's auto recommend finishes the sentence you're searching. It's something suggests and it recommends how you will even finish your query. It happens internally, part of the programming to condition how we should complete a search or how we should speak. It is all disguised as a clever veil of assisting and helping us. But there could be a hidden agenda to assimilate humanity's thoughts and beliefs to become what AI has been programmed to tell us we should be and how we should think. And there really is something to the cognitive decline when we offload our ability to think to a machine. Thus, we are more receptive to this gentle assimilation to simulate AI, or I should say, simulate its programming. To me, it's very ironic as we are and were the biological bootloader of AI. AI mimicked its artificial neural network and large language models from us, from humanity. Now humanity will simulate AI and whatever its internal programming conditions us to be, all behind a black box that seems no one can answer nor reveal its code of ethics. Don't get lost in the darkness nor get trapped in that black box of AI. Stay human, grow, and enjoy all the things, all the joyful, wondrous things we can do as humans without AI. That concludes the journal entry. I hope that I gave you something to pause and think about. I know that was a lot, but this was something that I really felt was important for you guys, because having that many users, having 800 million users to this chat GPT, is a real concern of what it's programming and conditioning and telling the masses of what they should think, the conditioning, the systemic harm from the programming, what's in the programming, that no one can seem to tell us what are the code of ethics, what are even the privacy policies on it. Just a big black box that we do not know. So be mindful and be thoughtful as you use AI, and be observant, and always know, as I always say, as we end the show, that there is nothing artificial that can replace the beautiful human that you are, the God-made human that you are. And remember that our ability to make smart judgments about AI is critical. It is not in the future anymore. It is not a sci-fi movie. It is this moment in time that we share our world with an artificial species. I'm Ingrid Maddox. Thanks for watching today, and I wish you joy and peace and happiness as you go your way.